In this video we're going to cover page columns and hyphenation. Now columns, they're typically used in things like newsletters or brochures and whatnot. We're going to work off that resource sample that you've used from your previous lesson. So before we start, I'm going to create a heading here. So let's call this my essay as an example, and I'm just going to put that in the center. Make it a little bit bigger so it's clear that it's a heading. And bold. Right. So first thing you probably want to do here is, normally with columns, it's usually in either landscape, but if you're using a letter, it might also be in portrait. So you might check to see the specs when you're having a look at that. So let's have a look here. So this area here is called columns. Now with columns you can make up to 3 to 2 columns. Also, if you want to make more, you can go to more columns and increase the amount that you're wanting. So for this one, we're going to just work with 2 columns. Now notice how even my headings here, so if let's say I don't want my heading to be in the other column, so I'm going to do Control Z to undo what I've just done. And then what we can do here is, at this point here, I can add a break. And what this page break does, if I select on continuous, it won't affect the header. It'll only affect the selected area. So let's see what happens when I do my columns. So notice that even when I create 2 columns, this part's not affected, and that's because I've put in this break here. Awesome. So that's how to make columns. Let's say instead of 2 columns I wanted 3. That's 3 columns. So it might allow for easier reading. It might allow you to turn your text into a brochure. Now one thing that you might notice with the headings though, that there's a lot of wasted space here. And that's where we're going to talk about hyphenation, and that hyphenation is quite useful in terms of saving printing space. You might have a lot of text in your documents, but you want to reduce it so that there's more that you can put on the paper. And that's what hyphenation does. So what we're going to do is I'm going to select all this text here, and you'll see the difference here of what hyphenation actually does. So that's all our text. To get to hyphenation, you need to go to this layout tab, and over here you'll see hyphenation. And if I select automatic, what you'll see here is that it lets more text run into the columns, and instead of making the word giving go to the next line, you'll see that there's a dash here, so that there's more space, and there's a dash here. So instead of that word attachment being on another line altogether, it allowed some text to go here and then dash the rest. And what you'll notice is if I scroll, I've saved a lot more space. So that was columns and hyphenation. Open up that sample document and give it a go for yourself, just to see that you're on track.